be great to be able to watch it back.
All right, cool. We're recording then. You see my screen, okay?
I don't think so. Let me see.
Check. It'll be in Discord. And if it's not working, I'll restart the stream. Sometimes I need to do
Okay.
that.
I just have to click watch stream. There we go. Yeah, I can see it all right now.
Okay. Who are you this game?
The Tide Hunter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
So I had never played him before. I didn't even really look at what his abilities were.
Okay.
I just had a brief moment, some work I was doing, and so I'm very bad at the editing. I'm working on it. See me kind of reading his abilities.
That's fine. That's funny. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, because of how new you are, like, I can do my best, like, every time we, like, have a session to give you, like, the this is how you want to play the hero kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, Tide, it's really common to level up your Gush level 1. Like, I would say you almost always do it.
Okay.
And just conceptually, it's 110 damage, which is a lot. It
And
reduces
that's
it.
just like as a range creep securing ability, or is that why you take it first?
Yes, partially. It's not great to like spam it for range creeps. Like you only have 315 mana and it costs 100. So like
Yeah.
you do that twice and then you're like pretty low on mana. So ideally you're not really, I'll say. Like if you're super worried about securing the range creep, like if you need to do it on like the first wave or something you can, but usually you would use your anchor smash to secure range creeps.
Mm-hmm.
Gush is just what gives you aggressive potential early. So like if you would gush that guy here, like, I think he just dies.
Okay.
Like right here, if you gush him,
Especially that guy.
he's just
Yeah.
100% dead. So that's just why people will take it. Um, so yeah, definitely start gush on Tide, and usually things will work out. It's okay, like if somebody's trying to be aggressive on you, if you're trying to be aggressive on them, you just draw out a gush, and like it makes things go
Yeah.
pretty well.
I think I tried to block my creeps here and just failed miserably. But
Yeah, it's
I'll
always good to
practice on that.
try. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not super important to do it from the off lane, but yeah, the more you practice it, the more you do it. Wow, you're like brand new and you're using creep aggro. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to like implement the things that I see in YouTube videos, but it's a lot when you're new.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot
I
of
think I
stuff
have
going on in
one
this game.
last hit in the first wave, so
Yeah, and this is a little bit of a tough lane because Silencer is just gonna hit you if he's good like this. And that's why creep aggro is super important. So like here,
yeah, I should creep aggro again. I just
yeah, if you like do it right here, and that's the thing that's hard for like beginners to understand, or just to implement, I guess, even if you understand it, is like, um, if they have somebody who's gonna hit you, you literally just have to creep aggro all the time. Um,
okay.
and I'm not sure if you know exactly how creep aggro works, but there's like you can do it once every like
It's
three
like 20 seconds or
seconds.
something.
No, like once every
Oh,
like
I thought it
three
was longer.
seconds. No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like 2 point. It's like, hold on, let me see if I can look up exactly the mechanic, because honestly, if you are up to it, I'll also just link you some videos for you to watch. Like here's a BSJ video about creep aggro in towers.
Yeah.
I was hoping that I would just get a written verbal explanation that I could read, but I don't know.
That's okay. I can.
Basically, you do it once every like 3 seconds. So
Okay.
what happens is you could like do it here, and then they would chase you, and the creeps would be like here, and then you couldn't aggro them immediately again. Like they'd start attacking something, but if you wait like a second and then do it again,
Okay.
you can drag them
You can
further
just pull
back.
them even further back. Okay.
Exactly.
I thought it was much longer than that. And
No.
so like when I messed it up and they get stuck on a melee creep, I'd be like, oh damn, I can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
So good
So
to know.
like something high MMR players will do in really hard lanes. I wouldn't say this is a really hard lane. All the sounds are just annoying. But sometimes in like really hard lanes, what they'll do is like on the first wave is just conceptual purposes. They'll creep aggro here, and then they'll do it again, and they'll actually just do it again, and they'll like kind of completely give up the range creep, and they'll pull these 3 melee creeps all the way back to here on the very first
Okay.
wave. So you can actually just keep doing it. With that, after that little, there's like a 1 second cooldown, because they'll like, you aggro, and then they like follow you. I think it's like they follow you for like 2.3 seconds, but then it's on a
Yeah.
3 second cooldown. So there's
Oh,
like a
okay. So you can do it quite
0.7
often.
second time when you cannot. But correct,
Okay.
yeah, you can do it quite often. That is what I was getting at. So yeah, you'd want to do it
That's
here.
something I'll do. Yeah.
It's just really bad to not contest any CS. And also if this ability, this reduces the damage they do to you, and it's on a pretty short cooldown. So if you were like standing right here and you pressed E and you hit both of them, because it's like a little circle around you, you know,
Yeah.
they'd be
That
hitting
would be
you and
good.
you wouldn't be taking a lot of damage. So if you like do that and then creep aggro, it's like a way to like kind of do what you want to do without taking quite as much damage.
Okay.
So you're going for it. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I found the beginning of this kind of rough, where I didn't really know what I could get away with. As the lane went on, I started to be a little bit more comfortable, but I just felt like very harassed.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, and this silencer is playing decently well. Like that's kind of what he should be doing, is like hitting you a bunch.
So he was like probably the most annoying player on the other team throughout the game.
Yeah. Just when you're last hitting under tower, it's super important to just get as many CS as possible, and you will always miss some. Like you're not going to be perfect. Like I miss CS under tower. When I say CS, I'm talking about creep score. I'm not sure if you're okay. You should definitely use your E to get creeps that you can't otherwise get. Like it gives you 40 bonus damage, so it hits for basically 104. So it,
Okay.
like if your regular attack wouldn't kill it, your E will. So like there you could have used it, or like here you could use it, and it would kill this creep behind you because you don't have to be like right next to it.
Right.
Or like there, and you're learning like the timing. Like you're playing like a here the attack's really slow. It's like hard to get last hits in that situation. So definitely not flaming you. Just trying to give you some tips on how you can do better in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I found something, I think it's called like Polygon's training thing. In the
Oh,
arcade.
last hit trainer. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've heard that's
been
pretty good,
doing-
pretty realistic.
Yeah, it's tough because it's against a sniper and his attack speed is like so fast. So he denies really well. You have to be on your game.
And here you took your W. So let me just break down Tide Hunter for you, just so then we can like talk about the abilities as we go forward. So the Gush is like the slow single target and does decent damage, and it reduces their armor. Kraken Shell is like blocks damage, so like you're taking a lot of harass, it's like good to have, and it also makes you take a lot less damage from creeps, and this in combination with your Anchor Smash, which like reduces their damage, and then this also reduces their damage, makes it so like eventually if you like Anchor Smash like creeps or even ancient camps, like if you've got both of these abilities maxed and you Anchor Smash an ancient camp, like you actually just don't take significant damage from the ancient camp anymore for however long this lasts, 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the cooldown on it is low, so basically you like never take damage from ancients.
Yeah, as long as.
So that's kind of how these two abilities work in tandem. And like I said, Gush is your kind of ability to be aggressive, and I want you in all lanes to like you need to be able to be aggressive in all lanes. Like even if you don't feel like confident in what you're doing,
like just try to push that.
Yeah, it's so important to be like able to like fight them in lanes and
Okay.
like at low levels, like people won't punish you as bad if you like mess it up, and like you'll just get away with stuff that like in higher levels you wouldn't because they don't know how to react properly. So it's better to just play more aggressive on average and it'll go well. Like this guy hitting you is going pretty well for them, you know, and like just things like that. So like I would want you, if you play Tidehunter again, like just take Gush
Start
level
Gush.
1. You don't have to level it up. Like I would never say get multiple levels in Gush, but like even if you had taken E level 1, like I would go back for it and get a point here. Because here, this guy actually would die too. Like once your Lion starts hitting him, like if you Gush this guy right now, and you and Lion are hitting
He
this
would just be
guy
done.
with
Yeah.
the stun, like he would die. Like you'd 100% be dead. Because you can E him as well. If you Gush and then E, it like amps the damage that your Anchor Smash does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, right, because it's physical.
Yeah. So, just something to think about. No, you're super new, so it's hard to keep it all going. And then I want to talk about items. Do you just use the
For this, I was just
hero
using
guides?
a guide because I was kind of lost.
Okay. Do you use the like the Torta Delini guide or the Immortal Faith guide?
I think I was using Tortellini, or it might have been Immortal Faith. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was that one, Tortellini.
Yeah. As far as being a beginner goes, I think the Torta Delini ones are probably good. The Immortal Faith ones are kind of assuming you like know more about what's going on because it's going to give you a lot more options, which might be like, and then his are like more descriptive of like when to buy.
Okay.
So I would
Actually,
stick with using the
that's
Torta
the one I
Delini
was
ones.
Yeah.
For now, and then you can kind of copy that. Another thing you can do is there's this website called Dota 2 Pro Tracker, which hold on, let me see if I can set up my yeah, here we go. Screen 1. All right, you see this website I'm looking at?
Give me 1 second.
No, I had to like, it might have restarted the stream. You might have to like rejoin it.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. This is called Dota 2 Pro Tracker. This, oops, I'll link it for you. This website just it just tracks all games that like pro players play like in pubs and like kind of gives you a little like API thing to search through. So like if you looked at like Tidehunter, you just look up a hero. You can see the top ability builds and the top items people buy, like to start, and then in the game, and then other items they usually get. Just can give you an idea if you don't like. I would say for now just follow the in-game guides because that'll just be simpler. But eventually, like you probably get to a spot where like if you want to like learn a new hero, this is like the kind of thing you want to like check out. It'll like show kind of what they normally buy and like the order. So it's just a resource for like learning a hero.
Okay, cool.
But what I wanted to say about the items is Soul Ring is not... Soul Ring is a good item on Tidehunter. The way Soul Ring works is you trade health for mana. So Soul Ring is, as an item, is only good if you, as a character, have good health regen. So typically, like in the Torta Delini guide, it says early buy regen if low. Then it says to buy Ring of Health, Soul Ring, and Boots. That's kind of the order that you'd want to go. You'd want to have the Ring of Health first. So like your starting items are good. And if you just threw in like a Ring of Health as your first item here before buying more parts of the Soul Ring and finishing the Soul Ring, your life would be pretty easy.
Okay.
But
I think what I was thinking is that I needed to ship more regen, and I was like, well, I'll buy some components, but I guess I should have just pulled it for the ring. Because, I played an Axe game yesterday, and like once I got that Ring of Health, it just felt like a totally different hero.
Yeah. Ring of Health on strength offlaners, I mean, like, if you can sustain with like just an item like that in your lane, it makes the game way easier. This is good. This is good aggression. Nice. Okay, yeah, you're... I can tell you mean you
Yeah, once I
got more
started to get
comfortable on
the
the
hang
hero.
of it, yeah.
That looked
Just,
really
I
good.
mean,
Okay. So this is like, okay, you push the lane in, and your lion pulled. So this is really good that your lion pulled. It's really important here to keep your eye on what's happening up here.
okay.
Because you jungle this camp, and typically you don't do this. Do you know why?
Because you want to keep it for denying the wave?
No.
No.
It's because these creeps are right here.
Oh.
And they're walking into your tower.
Okay.
So there's two ideas happening here. It's like, one is like you pull to deny this wave, and it makes their carry have to like walk over if he wants to get the CS and like try and fight you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to fight him, like if your lane is hard, then you just let him have it, and you like let him do this, and what you get in exchange is these creeps. Yeah. If you are okay with fighting him, what you do is you get this pull anyways, and then you walk over here, or you stay over here, and when these creeps see you, they follow you, and then you can walk these creeps over here to this, so that you can farm both.
Together. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what you should be looking to do, and it just depends on what you need out of the pull, because you're gonna miss these 3 creeps under tower for getting these 2, which isn't really worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I just wanted you to see that you missed these creeps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know.
And that will always happen, usually, unless they had previously pulled when you got your pull. Unless you pulled at the same time, that's what will happen. You'll miss these creeps under tower if you come farm this pull. So you just have to choose. Like, do you want to drag the creeps over, or do you want to
free farm them,
or do you just want to free farm them? You can. And a lot of times, what people do is those creeps that walk down, like, you don't pull them under tower. You hold them right here, and you just stand here, or you can like kind of walk back and forth outside of tower range, and you wait for your next creep wave to walk up, and then the creep equilibrium will meet right outside your tower because you like held the creeps there. You don't hit them while they're there. You just wait, and then your creeps are battling here, and that puts the lane at advantage for you guys because it's a lot closer to your tower. Okay, so you got the Ring of Health. Nice. Actually, did get it before? I think did you buy the Soul Ring? Okay, you're flying it out now.
Yeah,
but you have the Ring of Health now. Okay, cool.
I actually think I bought it like a long time ago.
You did. I noticed you bought it, and then I saw you.
I wasn't sure if I was going to need more regen before I shipped it, and then I was like, well, I'll just wait for the Ring of Health.
That's okay. You're thinking about the right things. It is good pressure.
And this is how I felt most of the time. As Tide is just like completely tapped for mana.
You're gonna have some mana problems for sure.
And then here, I was thinking about it later. I should have like walked through and tried to pull those creeps away.
I think it's fine what you've done here. You could like be a little more aggressive about eating those creeps under tower while like Spectre wasn't there. But I don't think you need to do anything too crazy here, because like Silencer was there and you didn't want to dive him. So
yeah.
So you're getting your boots. I would always recommend throwing in a wand to your build on literally every hero. Like at your stage in learning the game, if you bought magic wand every game, that would be a good thing.
Yeah,
would be a net good thing.
I've started to buy it more.
Yeah. My official advice is to buy it every game.
Mana use, yeah, it's good mana.
Okay, that was a good attempt. You're trying it out.
Yeah, I wanted to see if we could dive it, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah. That's something you'll just learn over time, is like what, like how, because they were both at full HP. Actually, okay, so this is funny. So they're at full HP. You've got all your abilities up though, so you're like feeling pretty strong. And what is really good here is your Lion gets a stun on both of them to follow up. So like you're putting in a lot of damage. So I'm going to tell you that this play would normally work. And the reason it didn't is because your Lion has 3 points in his mana drain ability and only 1 point. So if they had both taken an extra 160 damage, because normally you'd have 3 points in this, and it would do 200 damage instead of 80. So if they had both taken an extra 160 magic damage here, I'm pretty sure this works. Or it's like you at least kill the silencer, and then the Spectre's like has to like bail instead of them being left with this much
tower,
HP.
Probably.
Yeah, so that's kind of your Lion being bad.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't even know what he did most of the game because.
Yeah, well, you're at this MMR, your supports and pretty much everybody on your team are going to be so bad. Like it's just not. Yeah. It's just not really worth considering their contribution to anything. Like I would never say like, okay, you need to tell your line to do this, or you need to depend on your line to do this, because it's just not going to happen. You basically just have to play your own game, and if they do something helpful, great, and if they don't, like that's pretty much what you'd expect.
Yeah,
so
that's why I've wanted to play off lane, is that it seems kind of like self-sufficient.
Yes, I would say it's the most self-sufficient role. You can do pretty well on carry if you know what you're doing, because usually you just bail from the lane once it gets crappy, and you can jungle, and you can like kind of be self-sufficient in that way. But yeah, offlane is a great role. I think to do it. So nice, you kill the Spectre. It's pretty sweet. Okay, he's coming back. You're running away.
It's just saw everybody TPing in. And I was like,
yeah. That's what you want to do. Wow, you man up.
I just wanted to help my Lion in case he got hooked there. I wasn't sure.
Right. I would almost never consider putting myself in danger to help your support.
Especially one who sucks.
Yeah. At your level, and given your like just your newness and your lack of so the problem is like you don't know if like you don't always know if like they can definitely kill you or not, versus like me, who's played 13,000 hours of this game. Like I have a pretty good idea of like what's gonna happen and the outcome of like any situation I see on your screen, whereas you don't. So I actually don't mind if you're just like kind of seeing what happens, because that's kind of just what you have to do. It's like, am I gonna die if I help this guy? So I guess I actually don't mind. I would say though, generally, like you don't want to like don't put yourself in bad spots. If you recognize it as a bad spot, don't put yourself in a bad spot to help your support. And if you didn't recognize it as a bad spot and then it ends up not going well, then just learn for the future that like, that was a bad.
Yeah, I knew it was a bad spot. It's just like, if he gets hooked, it'll be better if I'm there. But yeah, I'll just let him die next time.
Okay, nice. And for Tide, for mana problems, I would just fly out some clarities every once in a while. And /or have a wand. Wand will help. And if you need to, pick up a infused raindrop. Are you familiar with this item?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I build it usually on supports.
Right.
Because it's cheap.
It can be really good on mana starved cores that are going to be fighting, which is kind of what Tide Hunter is. Kind of depends on their spells. Like this game, it's not actually amazing, but it would still be kind of good to have if you didn't have sly issues. Like you don't need to be holding these tangos right now. I mean, you could start eating them. You don't need to be holding this branch, or this branch could turn into a wand. So if this was like wand, raindrop, and then you could like switch out your quelling blade to like chug a clarity every once in a while if you needed to. That would be like kind of a really good setup that would keep your mana higher, because you're also like using your soul ring regularly as well.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like that would keep you like kind of topped off or close to it, so you don't feel like you have these issues. So wand is definitely super important.
And, like, nobody was coming. I was trying to ping them and say like, hey, come and help me.
Right.
But my mid is just in our triangle constantly.
Yeah. So I'll just assume you're not quite as familiar with all the heroes' work. But Medusa is a hero that wants to farm the triangle all the time, and she is not a hero that shows up and like pushes this tower usually. Just conceptually as a hero, so she's not doing anything wrong by doing what she's doing.
No, I was trying to ask like the 5, like our support, to come and help push it, but I just wanted to get this tower down because it's so low.
Right. What is happening? Why are we on Medusa's vision? So it's important to get the tower, but in these games where the enemy team keeps bringing multiple heroes up here to fight you, sometimes you just have to recognize that it's like this is not optimal for them to do because they're like no one's farming mid. You know, CK is the only one bottom. And it's like sometimes if there's only one hero down here, it's not going well for them. In this case, it's going fine. Like Medusa could be bottom right now because like everybody else is like top. But so if they're going to like insist on defending this tower with a bunch of heroes, it's important that you don't think that you need to force it. Just recognize that that's what they're doing, and like you basically will win in the long run if you just kind of wait for them to like get bored and go somewhere else. If you can just like, if your team's like farming the whole map like this, like your Medusa's farming triangle and mid, you've got a Doom farming bottom, you know, they're not like diving you under your tower. You're still farming your lane. So it's important to like just be okay with that and not feel like you need to rush
creating
the
space.
tower.
Like, okay.
Because eventually what will happen is if you're playing correctly and you're kind of amping yourself and like focusing on creeps, like if you just focus on these creeps and then you focus on like going over here and jungling in the meantime, you'll just become massive to the point where if they try and fight you, they just die and then you just take their tower. As opposed to like forcing the tower before you're like super huge because you haven't been focusing on creeps, and then that looks different. And so there's a pretty important concept of like this applies for like carries and offlaners, like both cores in the side lane, and it's of playing the lane for farm, but like not to interact with the other guy. So like it's important to recognize like if the other hero threatens you, and then also like what you want to do. So like this guy does not really threaten you in terms of like he can't solo kill you. Like he's annoying, but he cannot like kill you. Not without like at least one hero, probably 2 heroes of help. So what you want here, kind of based on what I was just talking about, is to farm these creeps, and then ideally you're like coming over and farming the big camp. Like when you're strong and you're a hero that can farm jungle, like Tide Hunter, like I said, with this skill build, combo, you farm jungle camps with ease. You're like your only problem is mana. You never run out of HP. So your goal should be to kill these creeps ASAP, and then walk away. And the silencer's not going to follow you because your creeps will still be alive. You're just going to farm these creeps that are going to be under his tower, and you're going to be farming this. And then the next wave that comes, you know, which just spawned, it's going to meet their next wave, which just spawned. So you'll kill this while these waves are walking to the lane, and then you'll walk back to the lane and you'll kill this creep waves again, and then this camp probably won't have respawned by that point, or it'll be close to respawning. And if it's respawned like at 15, you can go farm it again. And if it hasn't, you can like go farm the small camp, and then you go back to the lane again. And you can kind of like bounce between lane and jungle. And your goal is just farm, hit creeps, be strong. And if you're doing things like this regularly, you're just gonna massively out farm like everybody on the other team. It's like you're not doing this, and you're already top CS in the game besides your carry, who seems to know what he's doing, because, well, 100 CS at 14 minutes, that's pretty decent. Your Medusa's farming very well. Like, he's got double you, and you're the next highest in the whole game. So if you start implementing like this sort of idea, where you're just playing for farm, and not really concerned with what this, you know, their random support here, or even if it was Spectre here, it's more important that you amp up yourself than like try to
force
do
something
stuff.
out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I'd want to see you do here is you'd walk up here, so you're in range of the ranged creep for your E.
Creep, yeah.
Anchor smash, kill the creeps. You know, you'll have to hit the range creep like once or twice, and then just leave. I just want you to kill these as fast as possible, and then just leave. Because now you're walking away from this range creep, which you don't need to. You don't need.
Yeah, it's just the haunt happened, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and that's fine. This is an experience thing, but I would tell you like you wouldn't need to be afraid of this haunt. Like this Spectre plus Silencer just don't kill you.
Yeah.
With your max passive, they just literally don't do enough damage. Like Spectre hits for like 60, 70 damage, and the Silencer hits for a little more with his like int stolen and stuff, but like you're reducing every attack you take by like 60. So
right.
they really just like don't damage you a lot. That's okay. So yeah, you do get this range creep, but like notice like you didn't have time to like go kill this game in the meantime.
Yeah, I should have done it faster. So
and plus it just gave this guy more time to wail on you because you like had to kind of engage with him twice.
Now the Pudge is there and other people are missing, and I just didn't want any of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then I saw the Medusa come in. I was like,
yeah. If you weren't against Medusa, what you did is, or not against, but if you had a non-triangle farming carry on your team, I think what you went to go do is fine there. But because you have a Medusa who's like chilling in the triangle, then yeah, you don't want to take her farm. So look to this camp. This is kind of going to be your main camp if you're like a little afraid of what they're doing.
Okay.
It's a little more vulnerable, you know. Like if you think they're really chasing you, then you can
yeah.
You know,
I'll probably fly myself an observer in the future. Like,
and yeah, stuff like that will help too. Okay, so they go on you. They don't kill you. Eating some tangos, nice. That's what we like to see. And yeah, you're pretty concerned about the kills here, which isn't like terrible, but like I honestly don't even care about these kills. Like I want you I want you to use E like you did here, and then right now just do it again, and make sure you're hitting these range creeps with your E. And then you've killed all these creeps. I had a hard time
with the range of that E.
You'll get used to it if you play more Tide Hunter. But if you've killed all these creeps, then it's like if you go for this, it's great because you're not missing any creeps. You know, you guys get the kill. This guy kills you. I was a little unlucky, but you know, the creeps matter a lot. Like kills, just in terms of money. You know, because Lion got the kill there, you got 69 gold for killing that Silencer. Like, that's less than 2 creeps, or maybe equivalent to 2 creeps. You know, like if you had killed those 4 creeps first before killing the Silencer, you would have gotten more gold than killing the Silencer was worth. Just to give you like a idea of like the literal value of like one play versus the other. It's like kills actually aren't a ton of gold, and at your level, at this phase in the game, like early-ish in the game, it's literally just more important and helpful for you, like for later in the game purposes, to get more gold, which is going to come from creeps versus like trying to get kills, which is just going to lose you creeps and just not be worth as much gold as the creeps that you missed would be. This is a small thing I wanted to point out, but if you're getting hit by a guy who's like doing a lot of damage to you as Tide Hunter, just make sure you throw out an E before you like walk away. So like here you have your E off cooldown. So like just like right here, just E him once, and then he'll do 60% less damage for 6 seconds, and then walk away. You get away anyways, but it's just like a small thing on Tide Hunter that you'd want to do.
Okay.
I would also look at your MMR range to go some sort of farm acceleration item prior to getting your like blink. A lot of times it's like blink for offlaners. So like for Tide, I mean, Tide farms fairly fast without like a quote-unquote acceleration item because of his E. So beyond like making sure you have full mana all the time, maybe just upgrading this Ring of Health into a Hood, thus making you tankier and less concerned about dying, and then still just making sure you're like farming more in the meantime might be sufficient. Because generally the cores, like, it's like A, be able to farm creeps quickly is your main goal. Some heroes naturally do that, like Tide Hunter naturally kind of does that as long as you solve the mana problem, which is why people buy Soul Ring, because it lets you farm a lot continuously. Like, it always gives you the mana, so you always have mana to farm. And you kind of, once you have like a Ring of Health, you kind of like sustain forever. Yeah. So the mana issue is Tide Hunter's biggest issue, but if you play a hero like a lot of offlaners, mana is like kind of their biggest issue for farming. But if you played like a Slardar or something, like, your hero only farms by like right-clicking things. So it's best on those types of heroes who don't naturally like clear creeps particularly fast to like buy some sort of item that accelerates you and makes you stronger and clear creeps faster. So like on Slardar, that's like it could be a Midas, it could be a Armlet, it could be an Echo Saber. But you buy some item that like kind of accelerates your ability to like kill creeps, and you know, it'll also as a side effect like do more damage to heroes.
Right.
And you want to buy that, and then you want to buy either your initiation item or some sort of item that like keeps you alive and keeps you from dying. So I guess on Tide Hunter you don't really need anything else for Blink. I would just be a little concerned like defensive capability wise for you, and it might be good to like finish this Hood off before going straight Blink. Something to consider. It's funny, you fly yourself a bunch of clarities. Wow. Yeah, you died there. So yeah, here in this situation, where you're like low, like once you like got away from the CK, well, you got away from them the first time, and then they're still here, and you get away from them the second time. In this situation where you're like at 400 HP and you don't have Ravage up, just go base.
Just walk away, okay.
Yeah. You just walk to base and then TB back out somewhere, or walk back out somewhere if you don't need to be anywhere. But it's just a lot of heroes in Dota like function, their like peak usefulness or utility like is around whether their ultimate is available or not. Okay. Right? Like you as a hero are way, way, way more useful if you have Ravage up. Would you agree?
Yeah. I actually felt completely useless anytime I didn't have Ravage.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just how some heroes work. Like, the better your ultimate, usually the more useless you are while you don't have it. So it's kind of like a state of mind thing of like what you should be trying to do in the game based on like whether your ultimate is ready or not. So like while your ultimate's on cooldown, you should just be trying to like farm and not really fight them.
Just farm and chill out. And
you should be ready once this cooldown is finished to like fight again. And by ready, I mean like full health, full mana. Okay. Or like close to it, you know, you're like 4/5 or 3/4, like, and you're like regenning, it's like close enough. But like,
so this is a good time to walk to base, and
this is a great time to walk to base. Like, you're not doing anything anyways. There's a bunch of heroes here who like threaten you. You're not high HP. You're not looking to fight them because you don't have Ravage. So there's just nothing about what's happening here that like would make like sticking around like good.
Okay.
And so you just kind of linger, which is like classic, like, you know, new player stuff, and you die. Yeah, that's okay. But that's just conceptually like the like indicators you want to look for. Like on a high impact ultimate hero like Tide Hunter, you're trying to dodge fights while your ultimate's on cooldown, and that means in that situation you would just walk away. walk base, get health. Or even just, you know, in that situation, because you don't take damage from ancient creeps, like, again, if you don't have a Medusa, you can just walk back to your triangle and, like, farm it for a while, and you basically gain HP doing that.
Before the game, I read something that he was really good at taking ancients once he has the Kraken and the,
yeah, he's very
Anchor Smash, so that was kind of like my game plan going in, and then I had a Medusa, and I was just like, oh, I guess I won't be doing that.
Yeah. So here, it would be good to just buy yourself a ward. Like, if you watch that BSJ video, like, he said, like, oh, if I want to farm here, I'll just buy myself a ward to, like, have vision of the area I want to play in. That's how you should think. Your supports are not going to place good wards for you. And they're probably not going to hit bot all the wards in stock, so there usually will be a ward available. And that'll just help you prevent things like this from happening. Because, like, I don't think it's bad that you're, like, up here, like, playing up here. Like, you're not getting the tower because they just keep bringing a bunch of heroes to defend it, but it would let you play, like, for farm without being, like, as in danger. Man, your Medusa is, like, massive. It's got, like, a Smurf. It's, like, way more farm than anybody else in the game.
Once he started to have a whole bunch of items, I think around this point I was like, maybe we should start fighting.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to fight, like, even when we were winning, we were, like, basically pushing them in. He just, like, was content kind of farming, I found, anyway.
Yeah, it depends on the person. It's just important to not force things without them, is the only thing. Because it's like, yes, they could probably come help you, but if they don't want to, then they're like, you know, you can't do anything about it.
They're just not going to, I was just wondering the whole game, like, what is the point that you're going to be happy and want to use these items that you're buying? But
right. I just want to throw out this real quick. This silencer has an ability called Arcane Curse. So, like, he casts it on you there. It's his Q. And it takes damage and slows you by 18%. The duration of this debuff increases every time you cast a spell. So, if he uses this on you, you should not use any spells until it's over. Unless you, like, need to use a spell to, like, not die or something. But, like, if you're just, like, farming creeps here, like, you threw out, like, an E here, and it just, like, refreshed the duration on the, like, Arcane Curse and made it last longer. So, just wanted to point that out. If you don't play Silencer, like, you wouldn't necessarily, like, be thinking about that. Okay, so your Medusa showed up. You ravaged. Your Doom showed up. Oh, you almost lived there. That was good, though. It was a good fight. It's an effective use of your abilities. Again, a wand, but actually, you probably would have lived if you had a wand there.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you,
a
like,
lot of times where it's like, if I just had a wand.
Yeah. Buy wand every game, and you will not regret it. I promise.
I think especially as Tide, because you spam, you're probably against people with wand, and then they're going to spam because they have wands. So.
That is correct. So your ultimate's on cooldown right now, so I kind of like what you're doing. Like, you're just not looking to fight. Generally...
Yeah, I was just kind of, like, frustrated. Like, anywhere I go, there's, like, 4 or 5 heroes balling me, so...
It does seem like that, watching from your player perspective of this game, so... yeah, I think what your
team got free farmed the whole game, and...
Yeah, the enemy was just, like...
on me.
Yeah.
Alright. In particular.
Nice. Use Ravage. It's pretty good. Okay, then you TP to a side lane farm. I like this. I don't really care that your team's, like, trying to push high ground.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you can't
good.
control them, but I just, like, I want to push
Yeah,
this up.
fix the lanes. That's good. Good instincts. You've obviously learned some from what you've been watching. This is pretty minor, but I would not be on agility Vambrace. Are you aware you can, like, toggle this item?
No, I had no idea I could toggle that.
Yeah, it's like treads. Okay. Except instead of just increasing the main attribute, it also gives you, like, an extra bonus. So, like, if you're on strength, you'll have an extra 10% magic resist, which is pretty awesome. So,
cool.
For, like, a strength offlaner, you usually want to keep it on strength. I was going to say, this is a little dangerous. So this is probably just an awareness thing by you. But you...
Yeah.
you clear this. Oh wait, I didn't go back far enough. Oh, now I'm having like some sound issues. Okay. So your hero, your team is doing Roshan, and you've killed them all, and they've all respawned, and you don't see any of them on the minimap. And you guys have pretty good wards right now.
And watching it back, like I did see the Pudge walking towards me now. So.
Yeah, and you have the indicator of the Pudge. So it is really important to like be wanting to do what you're doing here. And then what tells you when to stop is like if you think you're gonna die, and it's like just kind of your danger sense of like when you think you're gonna die. So this is something that you just develop over a lot of games. But just given the information you see of like nobody's bottom on their team, nobody's in their triangle on their team, nobody's mid on their team, nobody's under this ward that you see, and they're like their jungle on their team. So they literally all have to be like in the areas you don't see, right? So like they kind of all they're either in their base, which like usually they're not going to be in their base, like unless you're like actively pushing. So your danger sense here should just be super high. And like it's okay that it's not yet, but I just want you to like these are the things that I'm seeing that are indicating to me that like you're in danger. Do you see that?
I'm about to die. Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I just was not paying attention. I was like, oh, gotta push this lane in.
Yeah. And honestly, you almost could get away here. If your danger sense is super high, what you'll do here is you'll kill these creeps. Let me slow it down. Because you actually have time. Kill it. Kill it. Even if you don't go for this creep, what you can do is you can blink away. So like right here, oh, they haunted. That's unfortunate. If they hadn't haunted, your blink's off cooldown and you just blink back. And then you start running away.
If I was fast enough, I think I can still blink at this second. Yeah.
Yeah, right before that haunt hits you the first time. Yeah.
If I was at least like paying attention.
Right. Okay, do you have another replay you want to look at? I think we've looked at a lot here, and
yeah, and I think the game kind of just
your Medusa is enormous. I don't think there's your Medusa's going to carry you guys. So hopefully you kind of picked up a bit of Tide Hunter info there. I like Tide. I played him a lot.
Sure.
I played a lot of heroes a lot, but Tide is like one of my, I think, more played heroes. Yeah, he's one of my highest level offlaners.
So I'm just sorry.
No worries.
I'm gonna try to find a game that is worth looking at. It's probably gonna be a support game though.
That's fine. It's important to have a good understanding of what every role in the game wants to do, no matter what role you're playing, because a lot of your decisions eventually will be based on like what you think they want to do and like what you think they're trying to do or are going to do. And like so if you have not played those roles, like your guesses are not going to be very good. Whereas if you played a lot of support and then you're playing a core, you're like, I know their support is probably pulling right now, because if I was support, I'd want to pull or something,
Yeah, like I'm starting to get a pretty good sense of what is going on in terms of support.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find a game that I lost.
No worries. I mean, it doesn't have to be a game that you lost. Like looking at games where you or your team did well, those are still good to look at because I assure you there's still many things you could still have been doing better. And they're still really good to learn from.
Okay, so I'm going to put something in chat here. Maybe this one? Because I'm going off memory, but I think we kind of won the lane, and the game didn't feel bad. I don't.
I cannot look at this game. I can only look at.
Is it too old?
Yeah, it's too old. Sorry.
It's okay.
Who were you this game? I can look at the score screen, but that's it.
Oh. Is there a Crystal Maiden?
Yeah.
Usually Crystal Maiden. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this one's a week ago. I don't remember what happened, but we'll skip that.
That's okay. I mean, at this phase in your DotA development, I think probably any discussion of any parts of the game, you'll like learn.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll learn a lot no matter what.
Yeah.
You're obviously an older adult who like is cool with like learning stuff, so
yeah,
makes this.
So I'm the
a lot easier.
Jakiro in this one.
Okay. Jakiro's pretty good sport to play at lower levels.
As I find he's good because like I can just kind of like shove the lane, but I find I get stuck shoving the lane so much because no one's doing it.
That is just literally life at low MMRs.
Yeah.
Low skill games. So your position
like
5, Jakiro, is that correct?
5, yeah, I think.
Okay. Starting items are pretty good. Away. It's fine. So you're looking to block their game? Nice. Yeah, this guy is trading with you. Your Viper shoots up. Okay.
Yeah, I feel Jakiro is pretty good, like, trading early, so.
Yeah.
If he wants to main mode.
Oh, wow, this guy just starts jungling. That's weird.
Yeah, like, they were really weird where I couldn't even tell who was the core, who was the support. I think they were just like...
Okay, here, are you familiar with the concept of, like, body blocking camps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would suggest that you maybe look to body block like the camps that you want blocked, even if you've sentryed it.
Just so they don't know
just so they don't know, yeah. Because if you body block it, it's not going to spawn. And they're not going to be like, oh, this guy has a sentry. They're going to be like, oh, this guy was standing there. And if you can pull that off without putting yourself like at huge risk, basically you are going to extend the life of this sentry by however many minutes in a row you can do that without being worried about dying. Because then eventually what will happen is like a minute mark will come, and for whatever reason you like can't be here, and then the sentry will block the camp, and then only at that point will they know to think like, oh, like he blocked it with a ward.
Right.
So, and this is something that is like way beyond your understanding of the game, but I'll just say it anyways because I think you'll at least understand what I'm talking about conceptually. Is if they are playing heroes who just by usage of their abilities and how they normally lane, shove the lane into your tower like this, which Underlord's Q does that.
Yeah, both of them.
Luna kind of does, but Underlord's Q for sure. That is when they would want to pull more. Because they're shoving it in and then pulling resets it, and that is kind of how like you would look to play. Ideally, like a lot of your opponents will not like capitalize on this like sort of concept, but like that's what they'd want to be doing. So it'd be more important in a lane with like an Underlord to like have this camp blocked than if you were playing against like a offlaner who did not push the wave in. Like if you were playing against like an offlane Viper, like sometimes people play Viper offlane, like the hero doesn't like push the wave in with his ability. Well, he does with his W a little bit, but like usually you aren't leveling that super early and like pushing the wave in on purpose. So just throwing that out there. Okay, kind of chase this guy away from the camp. I don't really know what he's doing. So yeah, this is a little unfortunate that this guy's basically kind of the support you're trading with because he's just like very tanky.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get a pull off, and like he's even but
yeah. So in this situation, where this guy, let's just assume this guy's a support. That seems like what's happening. He's doing things supports do, regardless of what hero he's playing. So he is like doing stuff over here. Like even before, honestly, when you saw him jungling that camp, it's like, what is he doing? Sorry, we're gonna go like way back. So like if I see this, I know I can't kill this guy because he's just a massive 840 HP, 5 armor, strength hero. And you don't do that much damage to like high HP
Yeah.
heroes. But B is your position 1. I don't know how familiar you are with Viper. Viper is an incredibly oppressive, aggressive laner. This hero is just conceptually based on winning his lane, and being really strong in lane, and being a high kill threat in lane. And their Luna, I don't know how familiar you are with Luna. Luna's pretty weak in lane, just in general. She's an agi hero. She's got armor, but like her HP is pretty low. She does have high move speed, but
I should be making her life miserable.
yeah, so if you ignored this guy who's doing dumb, useless stuff, and if you walked over here and your Viper queued this guy and you queued this guy, he would literally just die.
Just yeah.
And so this is like pretty advanced like reading of like all 4 heroes that are in this lane and like understanding how they interact together, and that's just obviously something that you don't have yet, and that's okay. But the most important thing to consider, not the most important thing, I don't know. In basically to understand how lanes work, you just have to have some sort of guess of like how your heroes interact when they fight, and like who's stronger and who's weaker if you fight, and that determines a lot of how the lane works. Because if you're stronger and when you fight them they have to run away, that means certain things for like what you can do in the lane. Versus if the enemy's stronger and you're weaker, that means you have to play a certain way to like not feed. So it's important to try and start thinking about this as early as possible, because this is like the only thought process that will really like give you this sort of information or like this sort of insight into like what you could do, like into what the best thing to do is at any given moment. Because like Dota, you can do anything. You could walk you could walk mid, you could use your TP and TP bottom, you could use your TP and TP, you can do anything at any given time. So it's like, what do you do, right? Like you have a general idea of what you should do, but like what do you specifically do? Like what is the best thing to do? Like in this situation, if you walk over and kill this Luna, that's probably the best thing to do. Like if you just kill their offlaner and like your carry is probably going to get the kill. And it's important, and part of it is understanding that you don't really impact this guy at all.
Yeah.
So these are all just super kind of advanced like concepts, but hopefully you get a sense, you can start building a sense of like
I totally get it. And like in hindsight, it's who cares if he farms the small camp?
Exactly. Right? Especially if Luna's dying in the meantime. I mean,
yeah.
Like, because in some games, I mean, hopefully you're not Luna offlane, but in some games you're going to be the offlaner, and you're going to have this wonky support doing some wonky shit on the side, and, like, you're going to experience 2 heroes hitting you while your support's doing nothing. You're going to be like, what is happening? Eventually that's going to be you if you play offlane. So, I just want to throw that out there because in the key, so much conceptual knowledge, but the key is understanding how your core, when you're playing support, how your core wants to play. So that's just like good luck starting to understand every hero in Dota.
Like a very oppressive early laner.
Exactly. So if you know that Viper wants to be aggressive and fight early, you should try and be on that same page. And if whoever's playing in your game on Viper ends up not wanting to do that because like he doesn't really understand how his hero works, or just for whatever reason he's like, nah, I don't want to fight them, like you can't do that. But like,
you have to try it.
You have to try,
see how they react.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay, so you do get a pull off. And yeah, you're just using all your resources here. Yeah, so you're playing for pulls. It's kind of okay because you're low resources. Because it's a Luna, if I would default not to pulling early, I would default to harassing and being aggressive early if you aren't sure what you should do.
Okay.
Because defaulting to pulling will just seed defaulting to pull. Like pulling is what you do when you don't feel like you can be helpful in the lane, or when the lane is pushed up all the way to like here, and you want to reset the equilibrium closer to your safe lane tower. Then you pull. But pulling inherently, like, is a defensive play, which is like indicating that you're not trying to be aggressive on them. And I would just lean towards being aggressive because people will just screw up if you are aggressive on them, and you'll just get kills. And not like balls to the wall aggression, right? But just don't look to pull until the lane's been like pushed up, or like if you've tried to be aggressive and you just died and you're like, wow, if I like walk over there into the lane again, like I'm just gonna feed. So like then I'm gonna pull. That's what I would say, because you could definitely have been more aggressive on this Luna these first couple minutes, especially with this Underlord like not being around, and instead you kind of like just seeded and pulled a little bit, and just had pretty low impact in general on this lane. Okay, so this Luna overextends and dies. Nice. Should we TP base here? That was okay. I think because you had the salve, it's a little weird. You were low mana.
I had no mana and no health, and I was like, I can waste 200 gold, or I can.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't hate that, honestly. Your goal is to reset your resources. You did it. I think maybe block this. Nice. Unblock it. Okay. Their other hero dies. And so in this situation where your lane is pushed up, it is good to pull.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you're looking for a pull here. Kind of missed opportunity.
Stack, I think.
Yeah, that's okay. You got the pull, so that's good. Another thing to consider, I don't know if there's a lot you could have done about this death, but I'm just going to say it because it happens. Something you want to consider in lane, this kind of works for both support and core, but like, in terms of, this is part of how you can assess the dynamic of like the 4 heroes in the lane, is like, who's stronger in the core matchup, like 1v1, and then like, who do you think is stronger 2v2? Because the way this works is like, if you and Viper are both together, and Luna and Underlord are both together, you guys kind of win because your heroes just have better abilities early to be aggressive. Like Luna's just pretty weak early. So that's most of what's happening there, versus both of your heroes are fairly strong early. So you're like pretty strong 2v2, and your Viper's strong 1v1. But the important thing to recognize is that you are not strong against either of these heroes, like 1v1 really. You kind of can bully Luna, but basically the thing to recognize is like you don't do anything to this guy. So as soon as you see this guy, you want to like stay away from this guy unless Viper is with you. That's how I'd be thinking about it. This is a little unfortunate because you like walked. You put down a good pit. Ideally, you would have walked as soon as he like pitted you the first time here, and then you got stunned.
Just
if you
left,
walk down and to the right, I think you live here because then the pit doesn't rue you again, and you're not in the flames. But that's okay. You had a lot of gold. I definitely would have spent some before you came back to lane. It's pretty important to spend your gold early. It's super important to like if you have 1,000 gold, like the net worth effective usefulness of your inventory right now is 100 gold. These 2 iron branches, like the regen is like whatever, right? It doesn't make your hero stronger. So your net worth right now is 1,050 gold. Or sorry, 1,100, because it's 100 gold total. Your net worth is 1,100, and 1,000 of it is just sitting in the bank, which is just bad. It's just very bad. Getting boots and a wand, I think these are good items you have queued up, makes you like way stronger or like way
Yeah.
more useful
Yeah.
if
How
you
to
have
just
these
bot
boosts
it.
in your inventory. Super important to be buying these items. Of here eventually buy like 6 items if I don't know. But like,
Yeah, that tends to be how I play. Like I forget about it
yeah,
until
try and
sometimes
like
gets.
just implement like a trigger for yourself. Like every time you're like in base is like, what can I buy while I'm here? And like, it's like while
Yeah.
you're dead, right? Usually it's like you
Yeah.
die and then you're waiting to respawn, and it's like, what do I need to buy while I'm dead? That's something that you should be looking to think about.
Yeah. I don't know how he saw me there. But
What happened here? So you just walked away from top and walked to
I
mid.
walked mid.
Do you know why you walked to mid?
Um, when I started walking mid, no, I don't remember.
That's fine. You said it was a while
I'd have
ago.
to see. Yeah, this was a week ago. This game.
Yeah.
Maybe if I looked at like how things were when I started going mid.
So your Viper just come back to lane. It doesn't really matter. You know, you're new to the game. Whatever you were thinking could have been
Yeah.
totally inaccurate. Who knows? Basically, I would not be looking to like walk to rotate to another lane right now. The way I would like conceptualize like Jakiro working early is like you pressure heroes in lane that are there, as long as they aren't like super tanky heroes like Underlord, and you can like pressure buildings if you like shove the wave in, and you can like
Yeah.
join like early fights. So, the things, second. The things that you're like looking to do are to like just help your Viper, and if you need to like, if something's happening in another lane, like you should only go to another lane if something's happening and you think you could have an impact there.
Okay.
So like nothing's happening mid right now. There is something happening
Yeah.
bottom. So if you are like kind of in tune with your mini map, you would kind of see like all these heroes here, and it could be worth looking because if you actually don't have a TP, hypothetically if you had a
Yeah,
TP,
that's something I've started to get better at is like buying a couple TPs
yeah. Well, you get
instead
one
of
every time you die, so definitely don't like overbuy them
yeah.
because you like get free ones when you die. But it's definitely good like if you TP somewhere and you don't have a TP, like buy another one. It used to be good to like buy multiple because you know you would need them, but now you don't always like need to buy a bunch at a time because if you die, then you'll just get a free one, and they are a lot of gold. 100 gold is a lot.
Mhm.
So like hypothetically, you could look to show up to this engagement. Um, you don't have a TP, so that's kind of moot. But since you don't have a TP, you can't really go anywhere else, and it's like you have a hero mid. Like if you didn't have a hero mid, I would say you could go mid and like be mid because then you're like taking
'Cause it's free,
free
yeah.
farm. But you've got a hero mid, so like to me, I don't see any reason to go mid. You literally can't go bottom. It would take you a minute to walk bottom, and the map would look completely different by the time you get there.
Yeah. I think what I was thinking is they're all bottom. Let's put some pressure on mid while they're like, because I saw their sniper was there and got a kill there. So
Right.
I think that's what I was thinking is if I go, I can use my liquid fire and try to like put a little bit of pressure on this to kind of punish that. But
That's a good thought. I would default to if you want to pressure a tower this early into the game, I would just look to do it in the lane you're in. Like
okay.
you could just be like, "Hey Viper, like everybody's bottom, like let's just hit this tower with my liquid
Yeah,
fire."
like I'm pretty sure our lane was completely empty, and that's why I
It
was like, well, I'll just
was.
give him solo gold, solo XP, and I'm just gonna
Yeah. And
like,
it's hard. This decision like kind of comes back to like the understanding of like if anybody shows up here and you're both here, they kind of die, versus if you know this Luna kind of showed
yeah,
up
me and
here.
Clinks, like we do nothing.
Yeah, you and Clinks don't really threaten people together. So it's okay. Like I don't hate that thought process that you had. Yeah, they I think just have a ward somewhere here.
They have a
is
ward
how he saw you.
there, yeah.
Well, actually, these creeps, the creeps. Oh no, they just see you because of this vision.
Oh, okay.
Like this sniper would just see you standing here in daytime normally.
Oh.
So yeah, they kill you. That's okay.
I find Sniper is just so hard to deal with.
He is a perfect hero at low MMRs because people do not know how to deal with him. His playstyle, like, is good against players who are like less coordinated in general. So yeah, I think this move again. So you walk, you TP bottom. You guys are like kind of being a little aggressive here. And so this is what'll happen, is like you will look to pressure an objective that's correct to pressure. And like, I imagine in some games, like nobody shows up. But like the last game we looked at, people kept showing up. Like, in this game, their team decided that they are going to show up. And when this happens, it's really important to just like let them show up and then go do something else. Because it is not efficient for them to be like a bunch of heroes down here. So like here, as soon as like I see this happening, like I'm out. I am like, if you want to be like super efficient, you can like walk down this lane this way and like queue the next creep wave, and then like walk mid. But like I'm 100% out because I'm recognizing that they chose to defend this tower, and you're not taking this tower against.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to ice path for Pudge, but I don't even think I hit it.
Yeah.
Just ended up dying.
At your level, if you think that it's bad, you should just instantly leave.
Just
like
leave.
I honestly don't care about your teammates. Just leave. Yeah. Because you for sure did not need to die there. That's okay. We're learning. So you can bottom again. I don't hate that you came bottom again. I would just say the same thing I said earlier, is like if they decide to defend it with a lot of heroes, then there's not a lot you can do here. Okay, this guy dies. You die. That's okay. Your Klink's like died mid, so.
Yeah, our Klink's just kind of fed all game.
That's what happens when you're new and you don't understand how the game works.
Yeah.
Okay, so eventually you guys finally just kind of take the tower. Nice. So it took a while, but eventually they stopped showing up.
Yeah.
They went to kill Viper, and he looks like he took out a couple heroes with him.
Yeah, our Viper was pretty good, but just like stayed in that top lane the entire game. Like I don't know if he ever left that lane.
Yeah. Yeah, and you will have teammates to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Like he was pretty good. I just wish he had kind of played with us.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be hard. I like what you're doing right now, though. I mean, if you're... This is basically how you should be
set up
playing
vision on mid and then pressure it.
Yeah, I mean, you did it all by yourself as a support. I mean, that's exactly what you'd want to be doing at this level.
Fighting with my inventory. Constant.
Tranquil boots,
Here,
I like it.
I don't want to be here, but I just want to push that out.
I think you can be here, based on what I see on the map of like their Lich and Luna,
a whole bunch of people
or like
up,
top. Yeah. Like I wouldn't be too afraid. Although I do see mid is pushing in on you guys. So if you had a TP, it would be nice if you'd like pushed out mid at this point.
Yeah, that's I was
okay,
like
so you walk mid.
myself
This
for not
good.
having a TP, and then I was like, I need to go here.
Alright, so I like that you walked mid. You're cleaning up the waves, which is exactly what that BSJ Smurf video says to do. So I like this. Yeah, and I mean, if you kind of notice, your team was doing what their team was doing. Like there was people
Hmm.
pushing in the top tower, and they just kept showing up.
Just all
Um,
went.
and
Yeah.
it's not worth it to do that forever.
Hmm.
Like you've gotten in these last couple of minutes, like you've gotten uh, like way more farm than you had before. I think you're pretty low in
Hmm.
general, but
I buy a lot of regens, so like my net worth usually stays pretty low. But
yeah, this guy's gonna die. Nice. So whenever you're at a lane, it's really important to push that lane out once you
once you're
you
there,
got a kill, yeah. Because what happens here, this happens all the time at low MMRs, is everybody just walks away and doesn't keep pushing the lane out. So like you walk away, Wizard walks away. This Pudge doesn't even walk away, but he doesn't even push the lane out anymore. He jungles a camp. If you look at if I'm looking at the mini map right
hmm
now, he jungles the camp and then literally just walks away. And now there's like creeps here that nobody's farming, and this lane is the lane that you want pushed in as far as possible. And just
yeah,
nobody's going to do that, and the creeper is going to sit here until any other hero in the game that you're in decides to show up here. Um, and so you should always assume that nobody on your team is going to walk to this lane and push it out, and
yeah.
then you
And
should do
like
it.
this is a position I find myself in games all the time, where it's like I'm just bouncing between two lanes, pushing.
Yeah, and well, what'll help, like, I think that's basically what you should be doing if your team's not doing it. But what'll make it less need to happen less often is if you like push it
When
better,
I'm there.
more efficiently, like when you're there. The further
Yeah.
you push it in, the more time you have until you need to go back, and eventually that
Yeah.
will give you more time to like do other things.
Like I remember thinking, oh, there's two other people here. I'll just leave and let them take this lane. But like
No one will do it.
they're not gonna do it. So
it
yeah, I'll
yeah,
just stop assuming
if
they're gonna
you're
do
in a
that.
high MMR game, your play is fine because your core will go push that lane out, and you're just not in high MMR games, and your cores will not do that because they're all really bad.
Okay.
So you have to do it, and that's what makes you good, and will eventually like gain you rank. I think these are unranked games, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Replays?
still working on my. I think this is like, um, looking on DotA buff. It's like a Crusader tier.
Okay.
I think.
Nice. Yeah, that's
I
totally
don't know.
fine. But yeah, at low MMRs, I mean, honestly, up to freaking like in my, I've watched like I have a cousin in like Ancient, and he has to do this. Like when
Yeah.
he plays support, he has to like push out lanes that his cores just walk away from. So if you can just get yourself into the habit of like pushing out the lanes that you're at as far as you can before you think you're gonna die, and not walking away from lanes that are like have creeps in them, I mean that habit will make
It'll be
you
good.
better in some aspects than like an ancient player. Just no lie. Um, it's just crazy
Okay.
how little people prioritize it when it's like super important. Okay, so yeah, somebody smoked you, but you go back to the lane, which I think is good. Like what you're doing here.
Yeah. Again, like they're taking a fight. I
It's a
we had no
nice
vision.
ward. But yeah. Yeah, they tried to take a fight before the lane was pushed in and before your team was grouped. That's just classic Dota. So I don't know if there's a lot else you could have done differently here. Based on like what they've done in the last like minutes, like they're kind of all obviously here.
Hmm.
So this is just coming down to like whether you actually want to fight them or not. And I would say you don't because your Clinks is really weak. Like this item, like you need Clinks needs like a BKB or something, some sort of defensive item. Like he just dies if he doesn't have one, and your Viper's not here. So like I would not want to fight them here, just because at this phase in the game, like 25 minutes plus, the most important thing that determines the outcome of any fight is just who has more people there. That's just the only thing that you should really care about in terms of whether it's like a smart fight to take or not. Is like, are we grouped and are they not? And your Viper's just in the jungle. And this, it's not. I'm not saying it's correct or incorrect for the Viper to be in the jungle, but he's not here, which makes this fight not good.
Right. So we just have to disengage.
Because like you don't see any of the rest of their team on the map. So like they might not have somebody here, but like they could have their whole team here, and your strongest net worth hero is not here.
He's not there.
And I mean, this is just like a numbers thing. You don't see this in game that you're up 3k, but you're up 3k as a team, and your Viper's got 14k net worth. So a 4v5 without Viper, without his 14k net worth, essentially puts you guys at a 11k disadvantage. So hopefully you can see how that just like mathematically net worth numbers wise just makes sense that you guys would not win the fight. So that's the only thing that you should be looking for in terms of like these types of engagements, especially
it's just like pure numbers.
25 plus is like, is my team here? Like if yes, then like let's fight. And if it doesn't go well, that's life, right? But if your team's not here, like if your team's not there as many heroes as possible, and like if you see that like if you don't have your carry, but you also see that like they don't have particular heroes there, like
right,
that gives you the information that it could still be a good fight. It doesn't have to be a 5v4 or a 5v5. It can be a 4v3, and that could still be good for you guys. But if you, in that situation, you had no information indicating otherwise that they weren't as 5, and you knew your Viper wasn't there. So those are the types of decisions that like that's what you should be thinking of, like, should we fight them here? Is like, do we have our whole team? Okay, so
yeah, I have to be more aware of that.
Yeah, and it's really that simple. It's like, do we fight here? Like, I don't know. Like, the only thing that the first thing you should look at is like, are we as a team and like ready to fight them with all of our heroes? The second thing is like, do we have our like abilities up? Like, do we have our team's ultimates up? That's an important thing to consider when like thinking about when you should fight or not. But the most important thing by far is just everybody being there, or just having a numbers advantage.
Whose ult is up, or do I have to like click on them and check them?
Yeah, up here. These little green diamonds.
That little green dot.
Yeah, you won't see the enemies. Like, you can't. This is only because it's a replay. But you'll see for your team. It's very easy to see if they have their ultimates up. And if you hover over the green dot, it'll show the cooldown. That works in game too.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you're pushing this out, which is good. Your Viper's kind of owning. So your Clink's taking Roche. Nice. Okay, so you guys killed them and they take Roche. This is really good, actually. I like what you did of pushing the lane, and then your team won a fight, and your team started Roshing without you. I was going to say, actually, you could suggest your team to, like, Roche on, because you guys were in the area, and you got kills, but then your Clinks just started doing it. Honestly, a lot of times, like, even at higher levels, you'll have to, like, convince your team to Roche on. I was coaching a guy literally yesterday who is Divine 4, and he's a support, and I was telling him, like, you need to tell your team to Roche on here. Like, they had just won a fight, and they were all, like, in this area of the map, and, like, the enemy offlaner and, like, some other hero was dead, and they all just, like, spread out and, like, didn't take Roche on. And it was like, it was like this. It was like 30 minutes into the game.
It's like pulling teeth to get people to Roche sometimes. Like, I know to go tier 2s, it's like win a team fight and Roche, and then push tier 2s. But like,
not everybody understands that, and people just forget. What I told the guy in the game is I told him that, like, in your game, what just happened here doesn't apply because your team started without you, which is great, but a lot of times they won't. I told him if I had been him, I literally would have walked into the Roche pit, pinged it a bunch of times, and just started hitting it by myself, because your team will look and see that and be like, oh, this guy really wants to Roche.
Right.
Like if you
I think if they see someone doing it, they're like, oh, this guy thinks he's able to do it, so we're able to do it. So
exactly, you have to like show them that this is like what needs to happen.
okay,
And you know, he was a position 4 panda, like brewmaster, and I was like, dude, just walk in there and start hitting it and ping it, and your team will show up. But like you have to be the one if nobody else is doing it to like make that happen.
start it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but that's okay. That was a different lesson. It doesn't really apply here. So, um, yeah, I kind of like what you've been doing here. We might wrap up this replay soon, because I'm not sure how much else there is to learn. I really like what you're doing with the split pushing. Um, I think the most important things to take away from this replay are a little bit of the laning and like, you know, tend to be more towards aggressive and don't play more towards pulls. Consider what your position 1 wants to do and like if you can help them and like try and play to like that game plan of what your core wants to do when you're playing support. And I think things will like go better.
Okay.
And then backing off from when you're like pressuring, especially this like safe lane tier 1, like recognize that sometimes even if it's dumb for them to do it, the enemy team will like show up with a bunch of heroes to defend it, just like that game 1 where you were the Tide Hunter. And like when that happens, it's okay to just walk away and like
Yeah.
go push
I
a
think I
different
have to
lane.
start seeing that as like a win on its own. Like,
Exactly.
hey,
Exactly.
space for my cores.
Absolutely. So recognize that situation and being totally fine with like walking away and going to another lane and pushing that out instead. And then like team fights, when you're looking to take a team fight is basically when you know or think
Numbers
you
and
have the
ults, yeah.
numbers advantage, and it's okay to like not have an advantage, but it needs to be at least equal, and you need to have the information that would indicate to you that it's at least equal for you guys. Otherwise, it's just a straight up bad fight. Because what happens is that fight that did happen, like your Viper was jungling and he couldn't be there, and let's say you saw that and you're like, this fight, like I don't see anybody on their team. This fight's not happening. And let's just say you had bailed before it started and TP top and pushed it out, and all 3 of your teammates died, who weren't Viper, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might be super pissed at you, but the net effect of you having been there would have just been that a 4th hero on your team died.
Right.
So like, you know,
It's better that they be mad and
it's better that
just
they be
don't feed
mad and
additional.
you exactly. Like so, if you have the
Okay.
information, like you can just act on it, and you know, and if people want to get upset, you can like mute them if they're being really rude or just kind of
Yeah.
ignore them and just just be like, oh, we didn't have Viper, so it didn't seem good, you know, things like that.
Okay. Well, that is incredibly helpful.
Awesome, dude.
So yeah, for both positions, I think I'm just gonna try to be more aggressive early game. Because yeah, you have a good point. Like when someone's super aggressive on me early game, I feel it just puts me out of my comfort zone. So maybe I can try doing that.
Yeah. Well, and then if you get into like higher MMRs, like everybody's trying to be aggressive on everybody all the time, and they like understand really well like when you're weak and like when you're not, and it's you got to be like on your toes all the time. But this is how it starts, right? You're just like, I'm just gonna be aggressive on this guy and like make him like deal with that, right? Make him figure out what he has to do, and you will find that like people just fuck up and just die.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what I will start doing.
Cool. So I'm gonna stop recording.